When Tomorrow Comes by Tony Gagliardi. Chapter 6. The Sea of No Return. Tomorrow groaned as a fresh lash of wind slammed her portside, sails snapping tight with a crack like a gunshot. The rigging shuddered. Leo gritted his jaw, hands steady on the wheel as the gusts turned from warning to threat. Marina, Eva, get the kids below, now. Sam, grab what you can, take it below, move. DJ, clear the deck, nothing stays loose. Take what you can down, seal the hatch, and get everyone into the main cabin. Leo then turned to his crew. Batten down the hatches, reef the mainsail. The first mate was already moving, feet quick across the wet planks. The second man ducked low, working the rigging with practiced hands. Marina shepherded Danny and Isla to the ship's main hatch. Eva waved Luca, Noah, and Maya in behind them, eyes scanning for anything left behind. Sam followed with a crate under one arm. DJ grabbed the storage bin, filled it with as much gear as he could, and headed for the hatch and stairs below. The mainsail caught hard, Tomorrow tilted. Leo held the wheel, bracing against the shudder in her frame. He glanced down at the compass. Too far east. He adjusted course, tacking northwest, trying to ride the wind out of danger. For a breath, the ship responded. Then the gusts twisted again, sharp, unnatural. It didn't feel like wind. It felt aimed. A spray of mist slapped him full in the face, sharp and cold. Colder than it should have been. Hold her steady, he shouted to no one, or maybe to Tomorrow herself. But she was already slipping, not out of his grip, but beyond his control. Below deck, DJ secured the hatch behind him. The storm above became muffled, a low percussion of wind, creaking timber and waves. In the main cabin, light shifted with each roll of the ship. Shadows slid across the walls, turning the space into a restless blur of motion and chaos. The hull groaned around them, every thud from above sending a shiver through the boards underfoot. Danny was curled on a bench, arms over her head. Luca gripped the frame beside her, steadying both of them as the ship heaved. Maya stood near the ladder, one hand braced on the rail, eyes fixed upward toward the creaking closed hatch. DJ knelt by the supply crates, tightening straps that had started to shift. "Everything's secure down here," he called, though his voice sounded less certain with each roll. Eva was near the navigation locker, checking the waterproof cases, lips moving silently as she counted. Sam stood beside her, securing what electronics he could, assisted by Noah. Marina moved quickly between them all, double-checking latches, scanning faces, keeping her fear buried beneath the rhythm of action. Isla stayed close to the wall, small hands gripping the rail as the ship lurched again. Her eyes darted from face to face. "Wait, where's Matteo?" Everyone looked at each other, realization cutting through the storm's chaos. Maya blinked. "I saw him this morning." With his chest. "I saw him too," Luca added, "before we went snorkeling at Solara." "Yeah, but just now, when Leo told us to get below." "Did anyone see him come down?" Isla asked again. A gust hit the hull, hard. The porthole windows rattled. Everyone lurched sideways, gripping whatever they could find. DJ stood up, bracing against the hull. "Right, let's check the rest of the ship. I'll take the galley and the hold." "I'll check the berths," Sam said, pushing up his glasses. Noah looked up eagerly. "Can I come with you?" "Me too," Luca added, moving toward DJ. "Good idea," Eva said, staying put with Maya and Danny. Marina kept close to Isla. The ship rolled again, sending them all grabbing for handholds as the search teams split up. Minutes later, they regrouped. DJ shook his head. "Galley and hold are empty. Just supplies. Nothing in the berths either," Sam confirmed. "His gear's there, but no Matteo." They looked at each other, all thinking the same thing. Where had Matteo gone? Outside, the wind was picking up. Eva looked around anxiously. Where could he possibly be? "Are you sure you looked everywhere?" Marina asked. DJ stepped toward the stairs. "I need to go tell Leo." He climbed quickly toward the hatch, wrestling it open against the wind. The storm hit him hard as he moved onto the deck. Leo stood braced at the wheel, rain lashing across his face. "Captain," DJ shouted over the wind, "Matteo's not down there. We checked everywhere." Leo turned, squinting through the spray. "I saw him go below at Solara. He must be down there." "We looked in the galley, berths, Hold, he's just not there. Leo's jaw tightened. Look, we'll deal with this later. Get back below and secure that hatch. DJ nodded and fought his way back down the stairs, slamming the hatch shut behind him. We're being pulled into the storm, Leo shouted to his crew, his words swallowed by the wind. Leo fought to keep tomorrow on course. His compass needle spun wildly, no longer pointing north but dancing in circles. The GPS flickered between impossible readings, coordinates that placed them in the middle of continents, then deep ocean trenches. Captain, the first mate shouted, we're caught in some kind of current. That's impossible, Leo fought the wheel. There's no current charted here. Tomorrow fought with all her living heart, but the storm was beyond anything Leo had ever faced. Every time he turned the wheel to port, the currents seemed to grab Tomorrow's hull and pull her back. When he tried to come about to starboard, the same invisible force dragged them back into the swirling current. It was like sailing into a massive whirlpool. Every direction he steered led back toward the storm. Leo adjusted the wheel desperately, but Tomorrow seemed to fight him. The ship would respond for a heartbeat, then something else would take over, as if some force beyond his control was guiding her bow back toward the storm. It's like she's steering herself, he muttered, watching the wheel resist his grip. Captain, one of the crew shouted, we're heading straight into it. Those waters, that's the sea of no return, Leo finished grimly as his jaw clenched. He'd always dismissed the old sailors' warnings about these waters, stories told in taverns after too much rum. Sailors' tales about ships that sailed in but never sailed out. But now, fighting a wheel that seemed to have its own will, those drunken tales didn't seem so crazy anymore. The sky cracked open above them. Lightning forked in all directions, violet bolts that blazed like fire, silver strikes that cut through darkness, and iridescent green that painted everything in otherworldly light. The clouds pressed down until there was no sky left between them and the sea. Sounds rolled across the water like gunshots and cannon fire rifling through the air. The clouds themselves began to glow as if they were made of something other than water and air. A translucent light that had no source, pulsing through the storm like a slow heartbeat. Visibility shifted constantly. One moment they were surrounded by glowing clouds with no sky visible. The next, the sea stretched endlessly in all directions. Then it felt compressed again, as if the horizon had moved closer without warning. The air grew thick, almost solid. Visibility came and went in waves. The wind died suddenly. An eerie calm settled around them. All turbulence had abated, as if they'd entered the eye of the storm itself. Below deck, everyone huddled in the main cabin as the ship settled into an unnatural stillness. The children sat in worried silence, their morning's adventure at Solara feeling like a distant memory. Strange lights flickered into the cabin through the portholes around them. DJ moved toward one of the side windows, drawing Isla close as he peered out. Well, we sure got our money's worth on this boat ride, he said, trying to keep his voice light. DJ, not now. This is serious, Marina said, moving closer to get her own look at whatever was causing the strange glow. Across the cabin, Sam moved to another porthole with Noah beside him. What the hell is that glow? Sam muttered, squinting through the glass. That's not lightning. Eva studied the light through the porthole beside them, Maya close at her side. I've never seen anything like this, she said, her voice tight. It's coming from everywhere at once. In the sudden stillness, you could hear a pin drop. The cabin held its breath. Then it began, a sound that seemed to rise from all around them, not just from the depths, but from the sky, the clouds, the very air itself. Low, haunting calls that vibrated through the hull. Like ancient voices echoing a forgotten language. That's impossible, Eva whispered, her face pressed to the porthole. Those are whale calls, but there are no whales in these waters. The calls grew stronger, weaving together like voices in a song searching for their harmony. Then one voice emerged clearly from the others, a high, clear call that seemed to pierce through everything. Maya's pendant began to hum faintly, a vibration she could feel more than hear. Another voice became distinct, deeper, more resonant. Isla's wave charm started to shimmer. A third call separated itself, playful and quick. Noah's coin began to vibrate in his pocket. Then a haunting, distant voice rose above the rest. Danny's ring grew ice cold. Then a fifth call joined them, wild and electric, distinct from the others, yet drawn into the growing ensemble of voices. Luca felt his thunderbolt pendant grow warm against his chest. The voices began to weave together, finding their rhythm. Then, as if conducted by some unseen hand, they all found perfect harmony, like a symphony building to its crescendo, enchanting everyone who listened. One by one, it was as if they were recounting tales of ancient crossings, sharing stories and laughter from the deep, their song carrying memories of all who had passed this way before. Then, as one, they stopped. Suddenly, lightning erupted through the clouds, massive bolts converging at the stern of tomorrow. The current surged again, spinning faster, dragging them toward the center of the storm. Leo instinctively tightened his grip on the wheel as the swirling vortex intensified quickly. For an instant, in that blinding flash, he thought he saw a figure standing at the bow, watching, waiting. But when his vision cleared, the figure was gone, swallowed by the storm. In that moment of impossible survival, Matteo's words echoed in his mind, something the old sailor had said during a quiet night watch years ago. Most good captains navigate by the stars, Leo. But some, the great ones, the stars choose them. As the echo faded, the words carried on, threading through the roar of wind and thunder. Leo's hands trembled on the wheel as it began to turn on its own, not fighting him, but guiding him with a purpose he couldn't understand. The wind howled, the sea raged, but Leo no longer fought them as tomorrow's bow swung directly to the heart of the storm, pulled by forces he couldn't explain. Lightning flared ahead, carving a fleeting path through the approaching darkness, and though he couldn't see where it led, something deep within told him to hold course. The sea of no return opened its arms to